I see what you're saying. I think I'm ignorant to the racist comments, and I'm reading them now. Like if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Happening all the time in urban America, prowling blacks go around for fun to target white people. So it's very like similar rhetoric to Nick Fuentes is what I'm getting, this vibe.
Hmm.
So there is definitely like a racial undertone that I was not aware of. And this is like 2004. Yeah. This is
Yeah.
there's some other things here as well that he said that I'm like, if he actually said this last year. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I'm not as privy to like the
Yeah.
racial in general. Like that's why I like having you on, because like you're very in tune, and you got your finger on the pulse when it comes to like the racial tension and figures that are promoting hate when it comes to certain races or religions. I mean, I know he was
Hmm.
taking shots at the prophet, peace be upon him. He was
Peace
very
be upon him.
radical in his understanding of like Islam and the way he was kind of painting us. I mean, which is like understood because he was right, like he was clearly being brainwashed to understand Islam in a certain light.
He said, Prophet Muhammad is Epstein with an army.
No, 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 I know. So then, how do you process that? Then how do you process someone like him, who's clearly 31, right? He
Mhm.
seems very genuine. Like he seems like someone that's genuinely ignorant, right? Like that has like an agenda. He's
Mhm.
aligned with an initiative, and like where is the grace in like, okay, like he's going to come out of this phase? Like he was clearly starting to question, but he was clearly starting to question like the Zionist donors, right? Like there was, and I've been in a place where, 5, 10 years, I've been in a place like that where I've had certain views, but like the sincerity of me wanting the truth, it evolves, it
Yeah,
grows.
yeah, yeah,
And
for
those are some of
sure.
the most powerful individuals that when they align, and I feel like that was what was being projected onto him. I think whoever did it kind of, at least, kind of saw this turning. And if someone like him, and we see this, right, when in the companions, like Omar radiallahu anh, right, some of the most ignorant, like the worst of people are come to Islam and they become like the best. So like for me, it's just like, okay, yeah, you're saying stupid, but at the same time, you're standing up for principles that you believe in and you're sincere. I may not agree with what you're saying, all of it, right? Especially when it comes to my faith, but I'm not going to emotionally react to it because I understand you're limited and I'm looking at the bigger picture, especially as people, right? You say like the elite, they're always focused on the vision. They always focus on the bigger picture of whatever technology or domination. And I feel like as a society, we have to also have the tolerance and the capacity to be able to take that and understand like this person's working on something bigger. Like there's a bigger thing at hand, a bigger play for us as a collective, right? Like so that's kind of where I'm at, as opposed to like everybody, these imams or religious figures acting like they're at like Sira year 22. It's like, nah, we're all just babies. We're all like starting. Like this is all new. Like Islam, our understanding of faith, it's all new, right? And so there should be more tolerance and more platforms to educate each other. And I don't know. I'm just like that's my position on it.
So I
Obviously, that's
would,
not the position of most scholars. Like when you see Umar Suleiman, whatever, like they all kind of like they're all like, somewhat happy. Like they're just like, yeah, like nigga, you was talking your shit. And like, and I get it. You're right. You're right. In that regard, you're right. Like I'm not even gonna argue with that, but it's just like it just doesn't feel godly. It just feels like justice as opposed to mercy.
definitely justice,
Yeah,
definitely justice. But here's
that's what I'm struggling with. So like, yeah, help me understand.
I think that people are going to like there's sides, right? You know what I'm saying? So there's this side, there's that side. You know what I mean? There's sides, and people pick sides. And when you pick sides, if the other side takes a L, that's a good that's a W for the other side when they take an L. So
Yeah,
I think there would have probably been
yeah, it's tough.
more empathy type of thing if it was a Muslim or a black person that killed him, right?
Say that. Wait, hold on. You
I
said there
think
would
they,
be more empathy from the Muslim community?
I think it would have been more from whatever minority group that he was criticizing. I think they would have had more empathy for him if another minority did it, because
Break that down for me as to why.
there would have been an eagerness to not have the groups typecast as extremists.
Mm,
So
mm.
so there would have been an outpouring of empathy and an outpouring of no, this is not, we
To
don't
kind of
condone
show
this. Is
like we don't, okay, we're
yeah,
not, this
right,
isn't us.
right. But
Yeah, which is why
because
we were
one,
holding our breath when we found out. We were like,
right,
oh please, nigga, please
exactly,
don't be a black.
or
But yeah,
Muslim, you know
okay,
what I'm saying? But the fact that
or
somebody
both.
from
That
his
shit's
own
even
side
horrible.
did it, it gave people that relief to just be honest about them really not caring about what happened to them. You know what I'm saying?
Like indifference. It's indifference.
Yeah, it's an indifference. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah, I
apathy.
get
You know
it.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
It
I
was
get it. No, I
apathy.
get it, bro. Cause like even like him talking about Palestine and him just being insensitive to the genocide. And I get it, man.
Yo,
It's tough,
see, here's
bro.
the
Cause I
thing
get it.
too.
Like
Like
there's this that if we keep going on this route of like justice and like as Muslims, like we should be on the path of like mercy and seeing like the bigger picture. You know what I mean? I don't think it's especially today, man. I don't feel like it's a religious thing. I think it's a good versus evil, like very
I
dark
agree.
evil.
I
And
agree. I
I
agree.
don't identify him as evil. I don't see that in him. I see him as ignorant. I see him as limited, right? But
I
I
see him
don't
as
see
evil.
evil.
That's the difference. I see
See?
evil in him.
So maybe
I
that's
see
what it is.
evil in
Maybe
him.
they also see
Yeah.
that. Okay,
They see the evil in him. The reason, the
they see
reason,
the
the reason, the reason that they see the
damn.
evil in him is because you got to think about what it takes to just be to say some of the stuff he said. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm
Mm,
mindful even when I come on air, what I'm saying, how it may affect, even when I'm talking about white folks. Like I always make sure to say, not all of them are that way. Not all, a lot of them are against it. You know what I'm saying? Like and just any group of people. But
damn.
here's the thing about him that was so sinister. And here's the thing that being black in America teaches you. It teaches you that a lot of times white folks negotiate and do stuff in bad faith. So when it seemed like they're trying to do good, they may just be trying to do that good for their group. So when he's talking truth, when you strip away race and religion, like when I look at Charlie Kirk and you remove race and religion, I agree with a lot of stuff he says.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you add those two things in there, that's when it's like, okay, I mean, what type of time are you on? You see what I'm saying?
Mm,
Because if you're like, if you have values of family and you know, being against crime and you know, having responsibility, these are things that the black community and the Muslim community and
mm,
the Hispanic community, these things agree with. This is why you have a lot of people from other backgrounds that would agree with him on those things. But then when he racialized it and put the religious elements
yeah.
on it, then it's like,
Ah, I
yo, this
see what
guy,
you're
it's like, what are you doing, bro?
saying. I see what you're saying. Like he's like, these are the principles that I stand for, but these principles only apply to white people, only apply
Exactly.
to people that are judo Christians.
Chris-
Like everybody else is like inferior and no longer viewed as human. Hence, we
Exactly.
don't view Palestine. Ah, I see what you're saying.
I mean, that's the problem with him. You know what I'm
That is
saying?
the problem. Yeah, and I'm just looking at it from like the good qualities of what he's saying, the principles, but you're saying, nah, that's why race and religion are so important because it layers the lens of like how the person's going to enforce these policies or these truths
Right.
and who it applies
Right.
to and who it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, but that's
I'll
so
give you an
dark.
example. I'll give you an
Oh
example
my
too. I'll give you
God.
another
Yeah.
example. He was at one of his gatherings and he was talking about how black men don't marry the women. Like they pregnate the women and they leave them, right? And then on another instance, he would acknowledge that the black woman took benefits from the government. And, you know, so, okay, so if he wanted to have that discussion in good faith, he wouldn't be actually blaming at that point the men and the women. He would be blaming government policies that sought to break up the family. You see
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
exactly. Yeah.
Instead of demonize the individuals. See, he'll criticize the individuals when it's something the U.S. government did to destabilize them, but will only criticize the U.S. government when it's something that destabilizes the white community. You see what I'm
Exactly. Like
saying?
he'll criticize the individual if they're not white or Christian or Jew.
Right, right.
But if they're not, then like it's their fault. But if it isn't, it's the government's fault. It's the hypocrisy
It's the
of his
hypocrisy.
argument.
And that's with all of them across the board. Because the same thing with Candace.
Yeah.
Candace will sit there and say,
Same with Candace. Damn,
same
nigga,
with
you going
all,
after my girl Candace,
no,
bro.
no, no,
All
no, no, no,
right,
no.
go ahead.
Listen,
What
listen.
Candace
I
do?
listen. I see. Here's my thing. I listen to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because a
Yeah.
broken clock is right twice a day, and just because you don't like somebody,
Don't
you
do
disagree.
that, bro. Candace is on.
No, no, no. Look, this is what I say about Candace. Hold on. This is what I say. I say to Candace, I say she is the example that if you get a strong black woman on your side, that
Go
you want them
after.
like that. You want them
Yeah,
like that.
bro. She
You know
was
what I'm
like,
saying?
"Don't take that seat, or I'm
You know
coming
what I'm
after
saying?
all." Yeah, she was. Yeah,
So if you have if you have black women on the community side like that, 100%. So I'm not talking about her character or this, that, and the third. Don't get it wrong. I'm not speaking to that fact, but I'm just speaking to the hypocrisy and a lot of the stuff they do. So for instance, she'll talk about how feminism and the government policies, is affecting Americans today, and then just not acknowledge that that was first done to the black community. That the
yeah,
whole thing that's being done
yeah,
to whole of America now was first started on us. And then what
yeah,
happens is they always blame the individual, not the government policy when it comes to non-white, non-Christian, non-Jewish people. But when it's those people, then it was some government plot. When it was a
yeah.
government plot the whole time, it was a government
No,
plot
I
against
agree. I agree
everybody.
when it comes to like the black narrative. She's not as like an advocate, but I can understand it from her point because the black people, they excommunicated her when she started speaking and joined the Daily Wire and was going after George Floyd. Like I could see her having some ill will and not
Hmm.
really validating that based on her own personal, pain. I could see
Hmm.
that, but how do you balance an individual that's doing so much good, right? Like even superheroes have flaws. They all. That's why you have the Avengers because you're going up against Thanos, right? So at what point do you identify? Look, this person isn't perfect, but like they're on the side of. How do you determine that? How do you discern like, okay, this person's on the side? Because even with Charlie Kirk, I didn't really view him as like evil. I just view them as like ignorant or limited. Like I feel like there's such
I did
bigger
too.
forces at play that like are really insidious. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so when it comes to like Tucker, I could easily be like, yeah, he's CIA, like, but like he's doing so much good, at least that I could perceive that I'm like, all right, I'm willing to overlook some of this nonsense,
But
and we
see,
can get to it later.
that's the key. The key is that's the key. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna table what's wrong with them because they
Yeah.
saying what we like in the meantime, and that's how they get through. That's how the
No, we
elites use
like, but
them.
it's saying they're speaking the truth to
No, no,
some
no, yeah,
extent.
because we
Yeah.
like people who speak the truth. Like the
Yeah,
liking
because
is
they're putting
coming
their
from
life
the
on the
truth
line. They're
factor.
saying things that could get them killed. Like this is not just like
I mean, it
this ain't
did.
no Ben Shapiro truth or like some Steven Crowder
No,
where
it
it's like,
did though.
hey, I know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you overlook these shortcomings and like be like, all right, look, I don't agree. We can agree to disagree, but we can still love one another
Yeah.
and work towards a greater
Hmm.
goal for society,
Hmm.
the same way the elites do it. You know what I mean?
I
But if
think.
we villainize,
Hmm.
yeah.
No, my bad. My bad. Yeah.
Go no, no. I'm just trying to really figure out like how does that process happen? Like, because as Muslims, we're like just everybody's fucking demonic. Everybody, like even within the community, without the, you know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
isolate
Yeah.
ourselves on all fronts. I feel like black people do the same thing. As soon as they get a little taste of distrust, it's like this.
Because
And it's like, bro,
because
you gotta okay, a
it
little
comes from a
coonery. All
place
right,
though.
that's
It comes
fine.
from a place though. It comes from
You can't build that way.
no, no, no. Hold on. I'm saying it comes from learning from mistakes.
Hmm.
That's where that energy comes from. That when you start to detect certain things, like keeping it real. I remember Nick Fuentes was talking about um when he's in a black neighborhood or a neighborhood and he sends somebody black. Black people do that too. Black people do that too. You see what I'm saying?
Uh,
We do that
uh,
too
uh,
because we all have that confirmation bias of experience, right?
uh,
So so there's things we do among ourselves that's like, okay, yo, you can't trust on this end, you can't trust crackers on this end, you can't
uh,
trust this group for that. My thing is, back in the 70s and the 80s, back in the day, there was a healthy type of racism, a healthy type, I would say. The type
uh,
where people, that's why I was telling you about Archie Bunker and you go back to some of them old TV shows.
Yeah,
They
it's
were just
open.
real. They were just real about realities of things that
Yeah.
they're not about right now. And so when
Mm,
certain things get said, a lot of people get offended because it's not rooted in truth the way it used to be. It's rooted in propaganda. You see what I'm saying? So like
mm,
there was a healthy understanding that the difference of the races and the people had. But here's the thing, like it's all about how you stratify yourself in the country. Like just for example, me first and foremost, before anything, I'm a black man.
really? That's how you
Yeah.
identify yourself?
And I'm gonna tell you
Damn.
why. And I don't even identify
Interesting.
politically as black, like technically on a
Okay.
political legal level, because there's implications to that. When you have privilege, you have the ability to not be aware of what certain realities, right? When I move through the world, before anybody will know that I'm a Muslim, unless I'm wearing a kufi or a thobe or some kind of Islamic attire. Well, okay, I put it to you like this: when I move through the world, people see me as a black man first.
No,
Muslims
I
see me
see.
as a
I know
black man
that. I'm
first.
saying, but how do you see yourself? I know how people see you,
Yeah.
but like, how?
So, but
But if you base it based on how people see you, it goes. That's a deep rabbit hole, right? So, like, how do you define it based on how people see you, or how you see yourself?
no, it's a little of both. See, there's what I think of myself,
Okay.
and then there's me being aware of how
Yeah.
I'm
Socially
perceived
aware. Correct.
and moving accordingly based on the
Sure.
awareness of how I'm being perceived. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying? So when I'm moving through the world, knowing that that's the first thing people see of me, I'm adjusting to that reality. I can't ignore that reality that no matter what I think of myself, no matter what I think of myself, the world is going to perceive me this way. So I have to be
Mm,
aware of that and move accordingly for my own safety and for my own success.
mm,
You see what I'm
interesting.
saying?
Okay.
Because that is what will give me the advantage and the upper hand. So because they see me this a certain way, they're going to treat me a certain way. And I don't come
Yeah.
from a group that has power in the country, like solid economic,
Like
political
privilege.
power, privilege. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't come from that group. So I
Yeah.
have to adjust to the external in terms of interfacing with it. I can't make the external adjust to me. The only way I
Mm-hmm.
can do that is in my presentation. Like my grandma used to
Mm,
tell me, my grandma used to say, manners will take you where your money can't. You see what I'm
mm,
saying? So
yeah.
having good manners, being respectful, speaking a certain way, these things are going to work in my benefit because the perception of me is already a certain way that is going to surprise people if I do these things this way. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? Like it's coming with the knowledge of knowing how you're being perceived and knowing how having that confidence in yourself. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean when I say, when I move through the world, that's how I'm moving through the world. You know what I mean?
And
The religion is secondary to the application of my external, not to my internal, but the external. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
and then it's the nationality. Then it's the I'm American. You know what I'm saying? For me, at least that's how I layer and stack the identity.
Yeah. Yeah. So first you would say black, and then Muslim, and then American. So black,
Yeah.
Muslim,
Well,
American.
if I would stratify it even further, I would say
Go ahead.
definitely black first, man second. You know what I'm
Man,
saying?
second. Interesting. Okay.
Because I would put man first, but I'll give you an example. Like in slavery,
Are you
because I
talking
know
about
you gotta go
socially, right? Are you saying
socially,
socially or
socially, socially.
internally? Okay. So
Inter-
socially,
inter-
black.
Internally, the first thing I am is a soul. You know what I
Correct.
mean? I'm a soul
Correct.
from
Correct.
directly from the creator. You know that
Correct.
internally, that's the essence of who I am. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I'm talking about external awareness as far as moving throughout the world. You know what I'm saying?
Black
Because
man. Yeah.
in slavery times, there was a presumption that you were a slave if you had dark skin. So if you had dark skin, you had to prove you weren't a slave. It was by default that you were a slave.
Mm,
If you got dark skin, you a slave. You see what I'm saying?
wow. Yeah.
The dynamics, the way things were socialized here, you can't be delusional about how you're being perceived in the world. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, me personally, first, I'm a black man who's a Muslim, who's an American. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And you know what I mean? Because it don't matter where I'm going, where I'm at, the first thing people are going to see is a black man. Now, if I
Yeah.
got, when I say assalamu alaikum or I'm wearing this, then they're going to be like, okay, he's Muslim. And then it's,
Yeah.
okay, where you
Well,
from?
no,
You're
I
speaking
think they'll
English.
identify you as American first, because if you're talking, they'll be like, "Oh, this nigga speak English," right? Like, I feel like the Muslim would be the last layer that they would identify with.
Not in America. Not in America.
But not in
Because,
America, sure.
yeah,
Okay, yeah,
because
sure.
because
Yeah,
because
yeah,
because we
yeah,
all
yeah.
speak in English, right? You know what
Sure,
I'm
sure,
saying? So
sure. Yeah, yeah, in America. Yeah.
that Muslim identity that's gonna, be acknowledged on top of, and here's the interesting thing. In America, when white America sees a black man who becomes Muslim, they think it's a good thing.
Mm,
They associate that with, better manners, better,
yeah.
just better adapt, all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But they fear the foreign Muslim.
Mm,
They think when they come here, they're coming to take over the country. But when they look at a black person who converts to Islam, they're like, okay, yeah, that's good. And it was funny because somebody from Texas even told me this, white guy. Actually, we was talking about all these different things, but he was pointing out to me that he's like, listen, when black folks become Muslim, they end up being very respectful, being good for the community, family oriented. So they look at that as like a good thing. Plus, you got the example of, even though the Nation of Islam not technically Muslims in that regard, but just the precedent they set with cleaning up, drug addicts and stuff like
yeah,
that.
just more productive.
You're more productive,
The
right?
white way to
But
put it. Yeah.
right, right. But when they see a Muslim come from overseas, they're like, oh, they're coming here to take over our country. So
Yeah.
is the problem with Islam or the problem with what? You see? Because on one
Same
end, they look at
religion.
it as a positive, and then when it's applied, when another group has it, it's looked at negatively. You see
Mm,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because I get nothing but
Interesting.
respect when I'm around white folks and they see me as a Muslim. It's nothing but respect. See what
Yeah,
I'm
if
saying?
not more, because the judgment on us is usually very negative. So like by the time they get to know us, it's like, oh shit, he's not only cool, like he the opposite. Like he's
Right,
now like I want to bring him in because he's one of the niggas that I like. You know, it's
right,
rare. Yeah, no,
exactly.
100%. When I'm networking, it's the same way. Even growing up, it was like you look like a nigga, but like when I'm interacting, I feel safe, feel good. Like you know what I mean? Like you understand. Yeah, there's this vibe. It's like yeah, like we
Yeah.
both racist. Like we'll get along.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not taking it
Mm-hmm.
personal.
Right,
Cool.
right.
Yeah,
And
no, I hear
again,
you on that.
one thing I just want to say too is I don't really I used to, but I don't really have a problem per se with white folks in a certain kind of way. Once I acquired that Morris history and knowledge, and I understood their psychology completely.
Yeah,
My biggest thing is that they're willing pawns for the
yeah,
elites. They're the
yeah.
easiest group to manipulate for the elites. And
Well, the
that's
easiest to
who
buy
the
out.
enemy is. Yeah, and the easiest to buy out, manipulate
Yeah,
by, and that is their weakness. And that's what they have to deal with. Their biggest issue is not the other groups because everybody likes white folks.
yeah,
Everybody likes them. They've been on
yeah. No,
TV
they've been
for
doing a great marketing. Yeah, no, no.
the
Everyone loves white
marketing is
people.
impeccable. Everybody likes them.
Incredible. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The elites is the ones that don't like them. And what they don't realize is the elites are propping them up to be the domestic terrorists of the country. They don't realize that
Mm,
because they think they hiding
mm.
behind Trump. They don't think they think they're smarter than the
Interesting.
program. They don't realize they're part of the program
Mm,
like everybody else.
yeah,
And what they're doing is showing their asses so that then they're going to be typecast because they just removed a study
yeah.
off
Damn, you're
of
right.
the Department of Justice, the FBI website. Did a study that said the biggest threat to America is homegrown domestic white nationalist terrorists. But they removed this study, right? So that's what they don't
No, we
realize.
saw that too in January 6th. We saw that. That was a
Right.
setup operation to get there. Like you're just, yeah. No, we see that. Like that's what they're not acknowledging. You're right. That's not even on the news. Like they're targeting them just as much, if not more. They know they're
They're the
probably
number
most
one
likely.
target now
Yeah.
because
No, it makes sense.
everybody, the elites
Yeah.
know there is no other group that's a threat to them.
Yeah. At this
There would
point.
have been no minority groups to go up there and think they're going to storm the Capitol. Everybody knows we'd have been shot on arrival. Everybody would have
Nah,
been
you're
dead.
right. Because they're like that's like the ignorance, right? That they are like the last to like understand what's really happening. Like even when I met some white dude at the mosque and like he reverted and He had a thobe on. He's like, I'm gonna start
Hmm.
wearing this at the law firm. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, but they have that, like, like Dave Chappelle was like, me and Chip, got pulled over, and Chip was just like smoking weed and like
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
oblivious.
Yeah, privilege. The privilege
The
gives them that.
privilege, like that's what I'm saying. But that privilege is, like you said, eventually they're gonna be the last ones to be stripped of that privilege, and they're gonna be
So
like,
that's what's
what the?
happening now.
That's what's happening now, and that's my point. Is like that's what's happening now,
They
and
think
they
they're
don't
having
even
a
realize it.
renaissance. They
Yeah,
think they're coming
exactly.
back. It's not. They're letting the world
Yeah,
see you differently.
damn. And
We know
it's
y'all
gonna be
for
too
being
late.
movie heroes, movie
Yeah,
superstars, the people we love, but now y'all are turning into the new negative. You see?
exactly.
That's what they're
Yeah,
turning
yeah.
into. You know what I'm saying? So
And
yeah,
they're
nah,
not
I
even
know you gotta go
aware.
soon though, so I don't want to hold you
No,
too
this is
long, but
good. No, this is good. This is like, oh my God, bro. So when what do you see unfolding in the next, not even just tomorrow, but just like you see socialism on the rise, fascism on the rise. You see a combination of both from the elites, technocrats,
I definitely
corporations,
see
government.
fascism. I see fascism being a thing because
Yeah,
they're being manipulated. The right is being manipulated into so much propaganda that they don't realize that anytime they're calling this is what the right don't realize, and what everybody in America don't realize is when you argue against each other, right and left, and all this
yeah,
stupidity, you're
yeah.
talking about your
Stupid
fellow
shit.
citizens. We're all
Exactly.
U.S. citizens here, right?
Yeah,
You're talking about your fellow American citizens and you're advocating for them to take rights away from your fellow American citizens. Don't you think they're going to take those rights away from you just because you're the
yeah.
favored party right now? It's crazy. That's what I'm saying. The hatred is what allows them to be manipulated so easy. They don't
Hatred.
realize that they're allowing the elites and whoever's puppeteering this thing to degrade everybody's rights. Everybody's rights.
Mm.
This
And they're
is the
playing the
key.
long game.
They're playing long
It's
games. So what I
slow.
think
It's
is
like
down the
one rule at a time, like just one policy at a time, one
one
opportunity. It's like,
exactly. Take an inch,
okay,
with an inch they take a mile.
yeah,
So what I see on the horizon is definitely see from everything that's going on. I definitely like. Here's what I want to say too, real quick before I even go there.
mm,
The white, the people who are speaking out against something and all that stuff right now, dude, they got something for y'all. They got something for you. They think that America. What they got something for y'all.
he's talking
They
about
got
the
something
Thomas
for them.
Masses and like the Marjorie Taylors and
Yeah,
like
they got
the
something
Alex
for them.
Jones.
They
Like
got
we just
something for
gotta
them.
wait. We gotta wait. We can't do anything to them because that's gonna spark.
Nah, they got something for them. They got something for them. They're not gonna let them
Damn,
be out there talking crazy and reckless like that. They got something
Tucker
for them.
Carlson.
Yeah, they got
Damn.
something for all of them. He has shown he knows how to pivot.
God forbid though. God forbid. Let's put that out there. God forbid. I mean, these are real like. This is like the
Yeah, yeah.
last of it. Like they go, it's over. Like these are like the last of like
These are the reason. The
leaders.
reason these the reason like white folks have like people, black people and other minority groups have been telling white people to use your privilege and your power for the right thing. They refuse to.
Mm,
Right. So now it's at their
mm,
doorstep. And what they don't
gotcha.
realize now is while they're saying that, oh, we were the group that's being discriminated, they got you focusing on groups that you have more privilege than. You see what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like you focus on the blacks, like by 2050, the blacks is not going, they're gonna have a net worth versus zero. These guys are not your competition. The
mm,
Hispanics are not your competition. There's only point something Muslims. 1%, this country is not even 1% Muslim. The Muslim population is so small. Muslims not your competition. The people who were your competition took over your country because you
mm.
were racist and full of hatred and you didn't see that they was getting it off on you. So now they
Yeah,
fully embedded in the system and they're going to take you guys out because white people are the only ones who have access to all the power of the country. So
yeah,
they're the biggest threat to any invading, occupying party. They're the
yeah,
biggest threat, not the minority groups. If there's a takeover, they're going to try to line with the minority groups against you. And they talk about this. You can see this from the claims that Russia has been interfering in our elections, that Russia's been interfering in our political discourse by stoking the flames of racism and all this type of stuff. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So listen, you know me, I talk about race and all that. I'm big on black, but I'm smart enough to know not to engage in the back and forth of we're all enemies and we got to do this because it's a game the elites are playing against everybody.
But it's also because you've learned about racism, right? You go through the phases of racism, getting angry, hatred, and then realizing, oh, like this isn't even about racism. Like this is just a
It's a
pawn in the
tool.
game. Yeah, it's just like
It's
a
a
pawn
tool.
that they're using to distract people and divide people. And so it's like you don't
Right.
even take it personally at this point. You just see it as like a weapon. And like, oh,
Exactly.
it's being used here. So when you
Exactly.
recognize it, yeah, no,
Exactly.
that's facts. That's like a
Because when you
yeah,
got
because
the
it's such
history, you know the science, there's no inferiority complex I could ever have. When God said he was going
yeah,
to make the first man, he made him black. When you study the science of melanin, when you study the morals and you know your history, it's impossible for me to have some type of
yeah,
inferiority complex. So that if
yeah,
somebody say, call me a name or racial, I'm not going to, that's emotional. Why
yeah,
would I get all
yeah,
pissed because somebody's being, like, I did not hate Charlie Kirk. When I seen him talking his shit, I would
yeah.
just laugh like,
Literally,
this
yeah.
guy, it's funny. You know what I'm saying? This
That's how I
guy's
feel about
funny.
Nick Fuentes. I was like, yeah, you
Yeah,
guys is
he's
hilarious.
funny. Like I see
It's
it on
funny.
his face when he's talking. He's doing this to troll everybody. Because
Yeah,
if you bring
literally
up the facts, you could debunk what he's saying. But because people so anytime you're emotional, you're easily manipulated.
manipulated, 100%. Yeah, and that's most men.
There we go.
Most, yeah, that's
See what
most
I'm
men.
saying?
Yeah,
Get
that trickles down
manipulated
from
because
the
they're emotional.
relationship on the micro to the macro
Micro to
governments.
macro. 100%.
Lack of emotional intelligence, lack of discipline, internal awareness, like all of these, knowing yourself. Yeah, you'll get exploited from the top down.
Top down, bro. Exploitation. So that's why
Mm,
I'm just like, listen, like I look at the right in this country, the right conservative white folks. They're supposed to be the like gatekeepers for America. Like, you know, the left is the exploration side of America, what America could be, you know,
yeah,
pushing the boundaries of things. And the
yeah.
conservatives is the like,
Mm.
this is what a foundation of what America is. And they fumbled the ball, man. They fumbled the ball. It's just
Damn, when you
disappointing.
put
Like
it
when I look at the
like that would have been like a super team. Like, yeah,
yeah,
you're right. Like we established the boundaries and then while you guys built like Silicon Valley and all like but it's like the opposite. It's like,
opposite.
damn, it's like what could have been potential was like
Exactly.
inverse. Damn, I
Exactly.
didn't even see it like
All
that.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the elites, and it's all because of their racism. They was easily manipulated, but they actually are the last they're the gatekeepers for America. You know what I'm saying? And they fumbled the ball, man. They just
They're
I'm
they're
disappointed.
over on their
Yeah,
knees, bro.
I'm disappointed, man.
250 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
All right, so
disappointed
then
in
what
white.
now? What now? We see what's happening. We see the trajectory.
Hmm.
It's foolish at this point to be like naive in the patterns that are unfolding, right? You can be optimistic on the individual level, but it's also important to be realistic when it comes to what
Absolutely.
is transpiring. So, from an individual level, how do you process this in clarity for tomorrow, inshallah? Like, what is it that you are now focusing on? I know we talked about data privacy, digital sovereignty. What else? What else are you kind of? How does this affect the way you're looking and perceiving the world as a whole and the moves we're
I
making?
think when things are chaotic, you gotta really look at the basics. So, you know, on top of the things you said, I think that all right, let's say like this. If we talking about me, how I see it for myself, or how I see it for like
How you would
everybody.
see if somebody, because we're different, we're a little bit ahead of the curve, right?
Right.
Like I think a lot of people that are watching it, and maybe like within our collective, we can go a little deeper and give private and personal
Hmm.
information. I wouldn't do
Hmm.
that here, just because
Not for sure, for sure.
being private is important in the way
Right.
you move. So, just generally speaking, how would you kind of give game to people, to the youth, to people that may be the ideal watcher, that are like trying to
If
figure
you're
out, all right,
if
they
you're
drop bombs on us, like, all right, how do
yeah.
we recover?
I
Shed
think
some
if
light.
you're young, skill up. If you're like your early 20s, you know what I'm saying, if you're in your early to early 20s to early 30s, just in general, just skill up. If you're a man, skill up. Get some type of carpentry, electric, some type of physical skill. I would
Mm,
also say if you can find a team of sisters, of women that support whatever vision or goal you have. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? and focus on the basics of also like your food source, your health. The reason I'm saying these things is because in any type of system that emerges next is going to seek to control basic human necessities. So the
Mm,
more self-sufficient you are in your basic human necessities, if you can feed yourself, if you have your own water source, if you know how to make things, you're empowered. People who don't or who are on the other spectrum, you're done. You see what I'm saying? And I
mm,
think that those people need to group up with others who are of like mind and create intentional. And this is the thing too, it's called intentional communities. I think
mm.
we have to revisit community building at an entirely different level. I think we have to get rid of materialism. Materialism is what the elites use to control everybody, but China destroyed materialism because they showed that everybody's getting
It
everything
ain't
made here
working.
anyway. You know, it
Yeah,
ain't work. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the woman. I think the woman's challenge is getting rid of materialism. The men's challenge is getting rid of apathy and laziness. You know what I'm saying? Also, I think that one of the best things people can do is to like we'll spend a lot of time on self-development in terms of your mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like that's probably your single biggest investment you can make at this moment is in your
yeah,
mind. And then
yeah,
your body and your health follows. You know what I'm saying? Because if you have a sound mind, you won't experience this mass psychosis of manipulation that's happening in the media right now. You'll be grounded. You see what I'm saying? And be able to see things for what they are. So that's also key. So I would say just on top, like those are some of the things people need to like be concerned with as far as arming themselves with. You know what I'm
yeah. That's
saying?
fact. Like purpose, like you said, like finding purpose, building your relationship with God, and really just finding yourself in the midst of the chaos. I think chaos is the best time to find yourself. It's almost like an
Hmm.
opportunity. And
Hmm.
going back to what you were saying about community and being self-sufficient when it comes to agriculture, a good way that I do that is just by visiting local farmer markets
Hmm.
and building
Hmm.
relationships with those individuals. And I'll go to
Hmm.
their farms, I see the cattle, like I just have that
That's
relationship.
brilliant.
So if it's the fan,
Yeah.
I may not realistically be able to get a farm right now, but like it's more so like what can I do right now while I'm building up these other assets that can help bridge that relationship, right? So I think that's something to think about as well. Yeah, just really becoming less dependent, I guess you would say,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
government, on
100%.
anything external
Yeah.
specifically, and then becoming more internally aligned and self-sufficient and sovereign, really. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
those are all important ways, and I think AI, going back to that, is like the best way, the
Yeah.
easiest
Yeah.
way through
100%.
LLMs and
100%.
really just kind of speaking to it and having conversation, build that relationship with your AI, with your LLMs, and trying to figure out what it is you want to accomplish, and then reverse engineering that. What happened?
I think I sent it to you yesterday. Matthew McConaughey. I think he was on,
Joe
I want to
Rogan
say Joe Rogan
yesterday?
show.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah. Did you see what he said?
Nah, was it the one? His concerns of AI?
Yeah, but he was saying he wants to use AI basically as quantum mirroring. He's like, he wants to have a private LLM, which I was saying you can do if you download it locally
Alarma? Yeah,
and put all his data into it.
yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly. That's what
saying?
I'm
And
doing.
have it tell him
Yeah,
about himself based on all the data that he feeds it. You see what I'm
yeah,
saying? And it's like he was explaining exactly what we're talking about on these
yeah,
shows as far as how to use AI. You know, the
yeah,
best use of AI, yeah, you're going to be able to make things or whatever, but it can give you that ability to be introspective in a way that you otherwise wouldn't be. So
yeah.
it's that quantum mirroring. So I just wanted to second what you were saying based on that
Facts,
interview he
bro.
did. He was saying that same thing.
You want to be in a position where you're excited for the future. And that only
Hmm.
happens if you're in alignment with yourself and you have purpose, because then you can utilize everything that's happening around you as a tool to serve. Because all these are just tools, right?
Yeah.
But if you have no purpose, then you become paralyzed. You become like hopeless, right? When you hear about the robotic, you become overwhelmed. But
Mm.
like you said, when you privatize your LLMs, and then you hear about Elon coming out with Optimus, like, oh yeah, then I could use a similar robot, or I can go to China or some shit, get my own private robot, update that with the LLMs, and now like I got my Iron Man all of a sudden, right? Like
Hmm.
now I got my own Jarvis, and so like it's gonna happen. So it's like, how do you make the most out of this future to serve
Right.
you and your purpose and your family, your community? right?
Hmm.
And that's the only option you have. Or you become Amish and you go find you some land and you just completely isolate yourself and wait for the end of times. Like those are the only two options. But if you try to
Yeah,
stay in the middle and you're indecisive and you're just trying to react to everything, you're finished.
yeah,
You're done for, bro.
yeah.
You're seeing it now. Like there is no middle ground anymore. There's no middle class. There's no middle pop. Nothing is in the middle. It's either right or left, right? Unless you pave your own path. You will never get that unless you're in alignment with God. That'll never happen.
Hmm.
You'll never get a purpose. You'll never get a vision. You'll never get, you know what I mean? Like that'll never come to you unless you have a special relationship with God. So whatever your faith is, take it seriously and then prioritize your spirituality and then like your health, your body, your vessel, and stay tuned to content like this and really elevate yourself, elevate your mind, and continue to consume that which empowers you. Right? Like it's good to be aware and informed, but at the same time, you don't want to over consume and
Yeah,
poison
it can
yourself.
paralyze you. It can
Yeah,
paralyze you.
well,
You know what I'm saying? And just two things you said though that I just want to second is the first thing being, like you said, linking with local farmers. There's a list out there too of like all of the black farmers, like call it Black Farmers Index.
yeah, that's
They
something we
have
got to put
them.
in the link below.
Yeah, yeah,
Type
yeah,
shit,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We're gonna have it. We're gonna have it on the show when we air it. But there's they have them in every state, a list
Mm,
of all these black farmers. And I found out about it because a white lady on TikTok was saying that that's what she does. She goes to the black farmers and the Mexican farmers to get her food. And she doesn't go get the food from these larger chains. And what they're finding out is JD Vance, through Acre Trader, buys foreclosed farms. So they're
mm.
gobbling up all the farmland along with Peter Thiel, right?
Yeah,
And
MPLK. Or is he just doing land?
I think he's just
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
land. But
just
they
doing
were
land.
saying she was pointing out that the black farmers don't have the problems that the white farmers have because the black farmers never qualify for the government loans.
Mm,
So it's these government loans for the land that they can't pay back, or they have subsidies on it and made certain agreements that now they're just losing all their farms. But yeah,
damn.
that's one thing, you know what I mean? Linking with your local farms, regardless of what their race is, of course. But the other thing is, yeah, man, that connection with God. Like if you didn't, because you did, there's a thing you have to be tapped into where it's intuitive.
Hmm.
You have to build up a relationship with the creator at a level that when he reveals things to you, you're ready to move on what his revelation to you is. Because it's going to be vital in this day and time, especially with so
Yeah,
much chaos and propaganda going on. So I just want to
misinformation. Yep.
second that what you're saying as far as like, I don't think I stressed that enough myself, is that like, yo, you have to really invest in
Yeah.
building a relationship with the creator. That's your
Yep.
most powerful investment. You see what I'm
Correct.
saying?
Yeah.
So for sure, I just want to second that.
Nah, that's beautiful. I think that those are great closing points that hopefully they take to heart. Because I think, yeah, I think it's gonna be now more than necessary. It's gonna exploit those flaws in people's faith and their beliefs, right? Like the work you didn't put in these next 3 to 5 years, if not sooner, is really gonna expose everybody, for better or worse.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, thousand
Yeah.
percent, 1000%.
Yeah. Oh man. All right, man. This is beautiful. Inshallah, we got
Yeah,
this weekend,
inshallah,
Juma Mubarak, to everybody out
Imam
there.
Mubarak,
And inshallah, we'll see y'all again on Monday, man.
inshallah, salute. It's always an honor, my
Assalamu
brother.
alaikum.
Wa
Likewise,
alaikum
bro.
salam.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the Tomorrow Show. My man, Mansa Muhammad, and Noah
You already
Naru.
know.
I think today we will kind of be dumping back into the Charlie Kirk situation, and both micro and macro. I think in terms of a lot is unfolding. I mean, we're seeing it in real time, and just really getting our reflections on it, especially from like different perspectives when it comes to the reactions we're seeing in the Islamic community, from the political to the social, and kind of what we're seeing behind the scenes. I think we're noticing, especially because we touched on the conspiracy of 9/11 and what that kind of what the response was when it came to legislations and the removal of rights, freedoms, right? And in the same way, I'm seeing a pattern with Charlie Kirk and his assassination, and now this onslaught of like censorship when it comes to anti-Semite rhetoric, which is now being claimed as like hate speech, which is a crime. And then the battle between that and freedom of speech. We're seeing the visas being revoked for people who speak out. I mean, we're seeing a lot behind the scenes that are not really. We're seeing the Epstein files getting
hmm
rejected again.
hmm
So obviously, we're going to speak as factual as possible, but while being mindful and noticing a lot of the signals that are happening, right? Because it's really hard to pinpoint like who did it. We don't really know, and we don't want to get start getting lawsuits thrown at us. And so I think based on what you've noticed so far, has anything changed in your perception of this Charlie Kirk situation?
I wouldn't say any of my perspectives has changed, but I would say instinctually some of my perspective on it has been modified to a degree. I'll start with this though. When you talk about the censorship, it's not just that. You see now too what the right is doing is censoring anybody or punishing anyone who's speaking against or criticizing or celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, right? People losing their jobs,
Yeah,
people are being, a list is being compiled. So that also fits into the narrative there as well. But in politics, at least in American politics, if you create like for instance, when the left was in power, and see, like, I'm not mad at, and I'm not looking at the right for how hard they're going on what they're doing.
mm,
Because when the left had the power, and the left had the power,
for a good amount, 10 years,
even
almost
like,
a
yeah,
decade.
since Bush, since Bush last term, since Obama first got in there, so that
Yeah,
Obama had 2
eight.
terms,
Oh, wait,
that's
yeah,
8 years. When Trump was in there, the left still was running things.
yeah, it was
Oh,
damaged.
so that was another 4 years, right? So that gives us 12 years. And then Biden was in there. So that's what, 16 years, right? 16 years, 30, 40, 56. And then, so that's 16 years the left had the power in the media, and they
Mm,
were tyrannical. The
mm.
Me Too movement,
COVID.
COVID, yeah. How could we forget COVID, BLM? And if you said anything about them, you would get canceled. They started
Mm,
cancel culture where
mm,
people were punished for their thoughts and their views. The left started that. So
yeah.
now, like, there's the backlash of the right doing it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm,
The right is going to that's what they're doing right now, essentially, right? The right is canceling everybody who they deem enemies
mm,
or speaking out against whatever it is their agenda is, right?
mm,
So in politics, man, American politics, when you do something, it's a precedent now. But it's not like anytime you give the government a right and they say it's just temporary, they're not going to roll that
mm,
right back. They're going to keep
yeah.
that as a standard now. So now the Democrats, the left, cancel culture has made it a standard to punish people for their thoughts, views, and words. Now what's happening to them?
Mm,
You see?
yeah.
So what I find interesting is Tucker Carlson. I don't know if you just seen what he was talking about, but he's now saying he's criticizing Trump and saying, is Trump going to use the Charlie Kirk situation to further degrade First Amendment freedom of speech rights? You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Which is what they're doing. I mean, Pam Bondi came out. She was like, "We're all for free speech, but we're against hate speech." And
I
when you
mean,
say something like that, it's like, who gets to determine what hate speech is? You know, when you
right.
start throwing
Yeah.
terminology like that, that's a dangerous game, especially because we've seen the crackdown of like the Israelis when it comes to TikTok and the policies of Meta. I mean, I watched a video recently that you showed me of Meta, one of the board of Meta claiming
hmm
like, we're doing our best to remove all anti-Semitic, rhetoric. So it's like, what is hate speech, right? Like, so then that becomes a crime. Like, I mean, now you're
hmm
classifying that as a crime for speaking out. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a genuine concern. And I haven't seen Tucker. I mean, he's been on it. Him and Candace have been killing it. Shout out to them. But yeah, no, for sure. And you see that with Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, one of the untouchables on the left getting
hmm
canceled recently.
Right. Right.
I mean, for speaking against Trump, something he did on a daily basis. I mean, it's like the powers are changing. So yeah, I think that kind of speaks to that as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull it up right now on my phone.
The clip. Tucker.
not necessarily the clip, but the comment he made about it, so that way I can just be accurate. Here it goes. No, that's not it. Yeah, either way, he's recently been criticizing it. So my whole point is that this is the
Yeah,
right's version of this is the cancel culture. So
yeah,
we're about to see an entirely different wave. And something that I always try to help people understand is when you're up, when your team is up, when you're the one in power, watch what you do,
yeah.
because there's always going to be the counter to that. Like there's always something brewing on the other side. Every cause has an act. Every
Mm,
action has every cause has a reaction. No, what is it? Cause and effect. Every cause has an effect, and every action has a reaction. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? So this is the right's version of cancel culture. And when it comes
mm.
to Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, I think Candace Owens is a lot more disingenuous than Tucker Carlson is. Because
Really?
I'm not a right or a left. Yeah, because Candace Owens' perspective on black folks,
Mm,
it, like the fact that she couldn't sit there and go toe to toe with Nick Fuentes
mm.
on some of the blatant lies that he was saying, or just complete untruths, show to me how much she's lacking in self identity. She
Yeah,
don't even know her own history.
yeah.
So people who don't even know their own history don't have a proper frame of reference, right? And without a proper frame of reference, what is your foundation really? You know, are you just a pundit or a talking head for an ideology that you believe? Because your ideology, like, like when I was right wing Republican back in my early 20s, I already had a lot of the knowledge and information that I have about the foundation of my identity. I already had that. So it wasn't coming from a place of self-hatred. And that's the thing that I'm real curious about with people like her is your position to be on the right or to be about the particular issues you're about coming from a perspective of self-hate, or is it truly rooted in you have a genuine connection to the thoughts or ideology that you're spewing? With Tucker Carlson, like I remember when he was on Fox, I remember he used to be the racist guy that, or the people, the one that people used to look at as racist or whatever.
He's like the original Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, he was exactly, he was. He
Yeah,
used to be up there with his little bow tie on. You'd be like, oh, who's this
yeah, bro.
dweeb? You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I have to admit that he ended up becoming somebody who actually speaks less about that and actually
Mm,
has a more balanced view as of lately on the racial issue. And again, I'm not about to censor the racial issue in this discussion, but so much of American politics is based on that lens. You see what I'm saying? So that's just my perspective when it comes to Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. You know what I'm saying? Now Tucker Carlson got some of his other issues, whatever, but the point is, I think he's a more credible voice on
really?
criticizing things than yeah, because Candace Owens just seemed like she just want to be the pit bull for the right. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Same thing with a couple of other, like what they say, minorities, right? Other right wing minority personalities. They just seem like they're trying to fit in with the right,
Mm,
as opposed to them genuinely having a firm foundation in what conservative politics actually would be. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's just my perspective on it, though.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what
interesting
I'm
because obviously I love Candace Owens, bro. And I think when it comes to like black identity, I agree with you. Especially when I watched the Nick Fuentes interview, it kind of exploited that a lot. But
hmm
in terms of like her loyalty to being American and the values of the American, tradition, I think that's where she stands in alignment with like her religious beliefs. And so I
Yeah.
think she's not as identified with being black as she is being, I think Catholic and American, right? So she doesn't put
hmm
as much importance to race, which
hmm
I think, yeah, you're right. If she did, it would give her a completely different frame of reference, not necessarily to identify as being like just black, because even we as Muslims, we're Muslim first before even our race, right? And so I think or not. I mean, you could disagree with that, but like the
Okay.
the importance of religion takes precedence for her over race is what I'm understanding. But like you said, I think if she were to understand how much race plays a part in the systematic injustice, which I do think she has it highlighted, I just don't think she's as well versed as you when it comes to that. I don't think that's where her interests are. It's more so in like MK Ultra, the CIA, government politics, right? Like I think those play a huge role. And yeah, hopefully we get on the podcast and kind of spit that game to her when it comes to like Black history and understanding. But also I think that gives her a unique, like unbiased perspective. Like even when it came to the Floyd incident, right? Like she was able to speak out against it because she wasn't reactionary. She wasn't tied emotionally to Black culture or Black movement. And so that almost like the cynical like or skeptical like view she has is what allowed her to kind of she was right. She was dead on, like with that situation, right? And the way they were able to hijack and then utilize it and then go after it. It almost like validated her position to be like not identify with Black people in a way, right? But she's still
Hmm.
Black. It's almost like the Stephen A. Smith, like that type
Yeah.
of or Jason Whitlock or it's always yeah. So yeah,
I'll put to you like this. I'll put to you like this. Did you see Nick Fuentes' and again too, like the right wing is a basis now for popularity, whereas it used to be the left. So now that the dominant politics is the right, the personalities on the right is, going to be part of the discussion a lot more. But
hmm yeah, that's
essentially,
true.
the people, like, let's take for instance, what's her name? Okay, we're talking about Candace, but take this for instance. Candace she had a lawsuit back in the day where she sued over racism or something like that.
So like the
Something
school,
like some
like
school.
back when
Yeah,
she was
yeah.
growing up. Yeah, yeah.
So here's the thing, like if you watch Nick Fuentes, one of his videos, latest videos, I believe, he said, "I'm done with you, Uncle Tom, N-words," basically.
Nigga, you said
Yeah.
that?
Basically he was like, yeah, he named Jason Whitlock, he named Candace
He
Owens.
did.
See, because it's something that everybody in the Black community knows is that Black conservatives generally are coons. The
Mm,
Black community as a whole, the real Black community as a whole, not what's in the media, not the Black community as a whole is by and large conservative. And they would be Republican if they weren't racist. Most Blacks would be Republican. Most Blacks are
by
conservative
values.
by value.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? By value. The left, when they try to associate Black people with the left, there's a split between professional, educated Black women and the rest of the Black community. And they have left-leaning politics because it benefited them. They had benefits like in rights and entitlements and stuff that came along with that. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is that when we look at people like her, when you say like, yo, they divorced they're a little bit less biased, right? Most Black people know that BLM the whole time was a scam. In
Mm,
fact, yeah, I hate to be one of those people, right? But I have it on a old hard drive. I am the first person I know. I did it on my show, the Liberated Show, in 2016 when Trump was running for office. I said BLM is an LGBTQ front. If you go on their
mm,
website, everything was against the nuclear family. They didn't consider Black men at all. You know what I'm saying? So and then the original Black Lives Matter was a brother named Darren Seals who started it in St. Louis over the Mike Brown issue. He got killed mysteriously, and then they hijacked the term. Most Black
mm.
people, see, this is what I'm saying. They don't bring real Black people in the media. They get liberal leftist Blacks and then coon conservative Blacks, but they never go to the real Black community and get people who are saying certain things because they want to present it in a certain light either way. Most Black
Mm,
people knew from the rip BLM was a scam.
yeah.
Most Black people from the rip did not look at George Floyd as a hero. He was just somebody who police brutality happened to, which is common.
When you say most, what are you referring to as most? Because the narrative was that he was a hero. It was that he was like a victim to police brutality. I mean, nigga, we
He was a
saw
victim. He was
Steven
a victim.
Jackson from All the Smoke. We see all these like we saw
See,
that. Like that
see,
was the
that's what
culture, the
I'm talking
narrative
about.
that was what's put out there, right?
The
Like
black
maybe I'm behind this.
celebrities. That's the
That's a
problem.
large. Okay.
What I'm saying is most black people, like regular black people, know. Okay, well, let me put it to you even like this. Let me niche it down a little bit more. Most black men know, like most black men do not follow black celebrities. Black women do. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But everybody knows the black celebrities are the sellouts, are the
Yeah.
coons. This
Yeah.
is accepted among the general black community, but this part of the community doesn't get platform or is given voices because it's contrary to the narratives that the left is always trying to spin. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So the reality is, and I know because I'm connected to the general black community and know
Yeah.
what the pulse of it. Like the stuff that they try to say black people agree with, like for instance, when the Ukrainian girl got murdered or whatever, and they try to say, there's black people celebrate. Most black people wasn't celebrating that. And most black people didn't think that the guy should be free. Most black people know that when a black man commits a crime, he's going to get punished for it. What
Yeah.
they were saying is, this guy is crazy.
Hmm.
This is why he did it. Not that he should get a pass, but he's crazy. This is what crazy people do. So
Yeah.
let's not make this a thing about black violence and crime. Like this is some regular black guy. This guy's crazy. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because I can show you a news article where a crazy white dude killed a black girl on the train. Right?
Yeah.
So we can do that all day. So the point I'm making is Candace Owens and people like her, because they divorce themselves from their identity, and you do that when you have to be in spaces to compromise. Because the reality is, you heard the white lady say. I played the clip up here to the right wing, like America as a whole, colonialism at its whole, as at the root, is all about racism. It's first and foremost before gays, before hatred of anybody and anything. That's the number one target, and everything else is platformed around that. So even when we looking at MK Ultra, when we looking at the government conspiracies, like most people are not familiar with. There was a movement that comes from the civil rights movement, right? But it was consciousness, and it picked up in the 90s and in the 2000s. All of the government conspiracy stuff, black folks have been on that. Black folks
Hmm.
been trying to tell people about it. They just never listen to us. When you look at the dude, the guy who killed the lady on the train, they say he killed the lady on the train. He said, "Yo, I'm hearing voices." He called
Yeah.
the cops and said, "They put something in me. You got to get it out of me.
Yeah.
They're controlling me." Now, nobody cares about him saying that. All the conspiracy community, all of the other conspiracies that are in alignment with nobody. No, it's just he's black, he's a criminal, he's violent. The man called the cops on himself and
Yeah.
said, "You got to get something out of me." Now, I'm just saying, if it wasn't a racial issue, people would say, "Yo, nah, we got to look into that. That's a conspiracy." But because it is racism involved, it's like, nah, we're gonna discount that. We don't care that he said that. He's a violent savage, right? And I'm not saying
Mm.
that he isn't. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that the number one, and I think we started this on the first show. The number one thing the elites fear is for the races of humans to unite. And they always use race as that one button that gets everybody to turn against each other. And it's mostly coming from white folks.
Mm.
Bacon's rebellion, blacks, whites, all races, they all stood together against the elites.
Mm.
And the elites said we can never have that again. And that's when they created a society stratosphere based on race. So this is why I always use race as the center of my analysis, not to be biased, but because I know the society is based on this premise. And if
Mm.
that's not acknowledged, that's not an issue of denying it. It's an issue that people are sacrificing that part of the identity to fit into a space where they don't want to think about race because they are racist. There's
Mm.
just no way around that. So my thing is, I'm getting, as you can see, I'm getting a little,
Yeah, you got the
I'm getting,
pastor vibe going,
yeah,
bro.
yeah,
You get you a little white towel.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just, to me, it's just crazy because I'm just sitting back, and again, I'm just sitting back seeing the Leafs play the game. Because here's the thing, man. Here's the reality about it. And I might crash out when I say this.
Say, bro.
This might be a crash out, but I don't want to hear anything from white folks talking about racism, reverse racism, who messed this country up. Y'all were in the driver's seat. My people worked for it for free. Y'all was in the driver's seat and y'all let it sink. And you let a whole nother country hijack and take over the country. I don't want to hear nothing from it. I don't
Mm.
want to hear anything from them. Capitalism. They made capitalism and said this is the pinnacle of society. This is the pinnacle of government, how a society operates. Money over everything. Money over values. Money over principle. Money over life. And that's just how you lost the country. Because the politicians are prostitutes. They're
Mm.
harlots.
Mm.
Sold to the highest bidder. Y'all got nothing to say. Y'all got nothing to say. This happened on y'all watch. Y'all was in the driver's seat. And y'all let an entirely foreign country take over the greatest nation in the world for a few pennies and nickels because because you created a system that allows money to exploit the political process. Now everybody want to run around talk about the small. It's too late. They got it. They got it.
Yeah, yeah, we saw that last episode. They got it. They got it on the flag.
They got it, man. It's done.
Yeah,
And then how smart is it to say, I don't need the whole world. I just need to control America.
yeah, genius.
Hijack the whole thing for pennies on a dollar because we got politicians are prostitutes. We got a political process that accommodates legal bribery. And the people aren't off the hook because the people like to blame the politicians. But see, here's the
Yeah.
thing. There's a book called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, or Quiet Wars, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, or something like that, right? And they talk about in that book how the people hire politicians to do the dirty work for them that they don't want to have to think about.
Mm.
So the reality is that you voted these people in place. You knew your political process was being manipulated via money, and you still voted for the person who had the most commercials on TV.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
don't hear nothing, man. What are y'all complaining about? It's over. The fact that you're complaining about it now means you already lost.
Mm.
250 lawmakers was over there. You're done.
On their
And this
knees
happened on their watch.
at a time like this, when you lose someone that they consider one of the most valuable influences in America. At a time like this, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. I don't want to hear nothing. I'm just like, yeah, y'all can go in and talk about what
like
y'all gonna talk about, but come on, man. Y'all
where's
let these people
the
take the country.
where's the accountability?
Where's the That's my point. Where's the accountability? They're ignoring
Yeah,
all of these things, man. They're
yeah.
not even
You want to
talking
form?
about there needs to be a full overhaul of the political process in America. They're not having the right discussions. They're having these little lily discussions. They're not
Yeah.
having a real discussion because none of them really want to see things change or be better. They don't really want to see that. Because if they did, they would be talking about getting prostitution out of politics.
Mm.
You got to think about
Mhm.
it. Like, even in the Bible, they Christians, right? I used to be Christian. So I know the Bible. Y'all can't play with me with the Bible. The Bible says the harlot sits on top of the beast, devouring nations. That's in Revelation. Who's the harlot? You can say the harlot is feminism, right? But the U.S.
Mm.
is the harlot that sits on top of the beast. Who's the beast? Because in Revelation, it gives all these allegories about, the wickedness and stuff like that,
Mm.
right? So when you look at a harlot, a prostitute, right, they get paid for their services, right? So our politicians are getting paid off to sell the rest of the citizens out. They've been talking about stripping citizenship from people who say that that's not
Uh,
American. That's not
yeah.
American. That's clearly foreign influence. And y'all letting it slide on y'all watch.
Hmm.
But you can say what you want to say about Biden. You can say what you want to say about all the other politicians that did the bidding of foreign interests. But Trump's got, where's the string? Where's the
Mm.
string? He got the strings on his back, clearly.
Mm.
He got the strings on his back. So that's why when I see this outrage that they're trying to have against Israel and all, it's like, come on, man. When they talk about they did this back in JFK time. They took JFK out and stuff like y'all didn't do nothing about it then. Y'all didn't do nothing about it back then. That's what 80 years ago, maybe 70 years ago.
When you got 1960, when did he get assassinated?
I think it was the 60s he got assassinated in.
Yeah, like 60 years ago. Yeah, 60 years ago. 1963. Yeah.
Oh,
And
my
I think
brother, like,
that was like the pivotal time in history where, allegedly I mean, we don't have any conclusive evidence. The small has. But I feel like at that point, if you take out one of the most famous, most loved, beloved presidents and nothing happens to you, oh, I'm untouchable. That's it, bro. The game is over. The game is over. At that point, I'm like, yo, this is cakewalk.
1,000%, 1,000%. This is why I just can't. Like, I'm not saying they're not making good points though. Don't get me wrong. But just this the right wing talking pundits that are talking
Yeah, no,
about the foreign influence,
that
yeah.
there's also like a grace, right? There's also like this human experience of learning as time goes on. You're not gonna know everything. You're not gonna prioritize every element of your identity, right? Like, and that's kind of the sense I was getting from Charlie Kirk. A lot of Muslims were speaking. I think what was the phrase they were using? I'm not gonna mourn his death or celebrate his Well, it was, you know, they all were,
They always saying what? Like
they all said like, I'm not going to mourn his death. Let me get the quote, but I'm not gonna celebrate
his life.
his life. Is that what it was?
I
Something
think
along
so.
those lines. And I think like, yeah, from given, the things he was saying about Islam, sure. But at the same time, we live in America, right? And if someone's getting
Mhm.
assassinated for speaking out and having an opinion, you're just opening the door for like the same reality that you said the left had and now the right is in the power seat. So like when you almost enable that type of mentality and you don't stand for something, because as Muslims, I feel like we're not American with it. We're not, you know what I mean? Like we like we're always like dabbling, and
Mhm.
so I think it's just a dangerous stance. I think like you kind of have to honor the fact that he was growing like everybody else. He's a human being. He's evolving. He's learning. He's growing. You could see like his opinions changing when it came to Israel, when it came to what was happening. You could see like his stance is changing. He was open to dialogue, right? He had things that I personally didn't like what he was saying about Islam, right? But I can remove how I felt personally and look at the bigger picture of what he was accomplishing in terms of like uniting conversations, opening dialogue. And I think that's the best way, and he was embracing his faith. Like that's his faith. He's Christian. Like he's gonna say what he needs to say. So I'm still trying to process like what the best way to kind of look at this as an American, as a Muslim, as a
Mhm.
human, given what we know about what's coming in the future, how they're going to weaponize this eventually. So yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on like
Yeah, I think
the reactions?
it's to me it's definitely not the first time this has happened in America where people have gotten killed for having a political opinion. In fact, again, like the entire civil rights movement was about dying for an opinion. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? All like the reason, okay, so before the 60s, they
Mm-hmm.
didn't allow Africans and Asians into the United States like that. They had some Chinese in there and stuff like that, but there was like a 60-year ban on immigration, like large immigration from the African continent and from Asia, including the Middle East and a lot of other places in Asia. And so after that civil rights movement, that civil rights law that got that act that got passed, that's what allowed, because black folks were here saying, no, you can't just have only white people coming to this country from Europe. You got to let the Africans and the Asians in too, and everybody else in. You know what I'm saying? And that was a part of the argument. The other argument was that there was a thing called separate but equal, right?
Mm.
So we were separated. Segregation was legal, but they wasn't getting this access to the same resources. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily about integration, but it was about the integration of equality as opposed to separate but equal and not getting that equality. These people died for those opinions. Some
Mm.
were executed publicly. You know what I'm saying? Some were executed in their homes. But ultimately, them having a political opinion led to them being executed in this country by political opposition. So it may be different for this generation. I understand that. But that's why I'm big on history, because it is not foreign to the American experience that someone be killed for their political opinions. You know what I'm saying? Charlie's not the first and he won't be the last. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm not shocked that, you know, people will get killed regardless of your opinion. See, I think the right is so shooken up about it because they've never had anybody killed on their side for their political opinions. They just never had it happen. So I think that's why they're like shook up about it, because this is the first time a right wing conservative has been publicly executed or assassinated for for their political opinion. It's usually been them killing others for their political opinion. So in the grand scheme of it, when I'm looking at it, it's like, yeah, you know, it's like I'm human and I'm human, so it's tragic enough. Like I didn't like what he said. I really don't have a feeling about him being executed. It's wrong. Whoever did it should get punished. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the right thing to do. Even growing up in my environment, you know, in the inner city in the early '90s and all of that, it was clear to me that you can get killed for if you say something, if you say the wrong thing. That your words have power, and words can hurt people, and words are enough to make people want to harm you.
Mm.
They've just not been exposed to that level of violence before themselves. So this is why it's shocking to them, in
Mm.
my estimation. And as it relates to, you know, people growing and this, that, and they're like that's true. Like people saw Malcolm X grow to where he was changed a little bit of his rhetoric about, you know, races and things like that or whatever. So it's all good. But here's the thing: Charlie Kirk was out there. You see, I think he was what, 31, right? When he passed, right?
Yeah.
When he got assassinated. It's something this generation don't understand. They don't understand that you can say, I'm just trolling. Like they troll, you know, like trolling is a part of the culture. So, you know, he can have black friends like Candace and whoever, and then make racial comments and stuff like that. And to him, it's just like, I'm trolling. You know what I mean? And they think that trolling means that, okay, you know, they're not supposed to be any consequences for it. But there's consequences to stuff. And he was spreading a lot of hate.
You think
And
so?
he was spreading a lot of hate. He spread a lot of
Mm.
hate for Muslims. Like people try to cover up and change what his legacy is, but you can still see what he said on the internet, what he said about Muslims, what he said about black people. I mean, it's like you can't expect these side of the people to be you can't expect that side to be against. Pause for a second. This just pause for a second.